So you want to do van life, but you don't know where to start. If you've done even the smallest search in Google, you know that there are a billion ways to van life. So how do you know what's best for you? By the end of this video, you'll know if van life is for you and how you want to create the van life of your dreams. Hi, I'm Candice, your purpose-driven nomad, here to empower adventurers like you to create an intentional life through van life, travel, and sustainability. Today we'll go through 10 questions that you should ask yourself before starting van life. Okay, I lied. We've got a lot more than 10 questions. It's gonna be more like 10 topics followed by a couple questions each. For example, safety is a huge topic, and we're gonna be going over that last, so make sure you stay tuned. I've been semi-nomadic since 1998, and in 2014, I sold all my belongings and went fully nomadic. In 2019, I bought my first van, and I've been living full-time for over a year and a half. Grab my freebie below for all of the top van life resources. The top question to ask yourself before starting van life is why? Van life is super fun, but it's also very challenging, and connecting to that why will get you through those challenging moments. For example, when I got towed 4 times in 2 months, you better believe I had to connect deeply to that why in order to keep going. Why do you want to do van life? What are your expectations? Are they realistic, attainable, accurate? Let me know in the comments why you want to do van life. The biggest limiting factor and the second question to ask yourself before starting van life is budget. Now, van life is so personalized. You can really make whatever you want from it. Sure, you can get a 6-figure bus or van. You can also get one for a couple $100s. It's really up to you. So getting clear on your budget will set up a foundation to help make van life a reality. So get clear on your budget for not just the vehicle, but how much are you willing to spend on the build and maintenance? Plus, how are you gonna make money on the road? The third question to ask yourself before starting van life is, what hard skills do you have? Are you mechanically inclined? Have you built something in the past? How do you feel about mechanics and fixing the bus or van or whatever it is? Are you willing to learn these skills? Van life is very similar to owning a house. There's constant maintenance and upkeep that will keep you on your toes. If you would have told me like a year ago that I would be on the phone with my mechanic at 2 a.m., climbing under the van on a muddy road in the middle of a rainstorm, I would have straight up laughed in your face, hysterically. But there I was. And you live, you learn about your vehicle, you learn about maintenance. It's all just part of the process and part of the van life journey. The fourth question to ask yourself before starting van life is, what soft skills do I have? These will honestly set you up for success. These are a little bit more about mindset, but I promise you this will make or break your van life experience. So what soft skills do you have? Are you resourceful? Are you flexible? How do you handle emergency situations? How do you handle inclement weather? In the comments, let me know what skills you're developing so you can jump into van life. The next question is totally a mindset thing, but it is so huge it gets its own category. So the fifth question to ask yourself before starting van life is, how do you handle uncertainty? Like, where are you gonna sleep tonight? Is there gonna be service? Is it gonna be safe? Do you have enough gas to get there? There's constantly uncertainty in this lifestyle. The sixth question to ask yourself before starting van life is all about community. So how do you handle isolation, and how do you plan to create community on the road? Now, I can't stress this one enough. Van life can be incredibly isolating, but there's a huge difference between isolation and solitude, being alone and being lonely. So how well do you handle isolation? What's your current community gonna say about this lifestyle, and how are you gonna handle that? Do you have resources to create community while on the road? And how do you plan on using those? As a person who leans heavily extroverted, this is something I have to be really conscious of. So I make sure to be intentional about phone calls and FaceTimes with friends and family. There have been 3 to 6 week sections where the only people I've talked to in person has been grocery store clerks and gas station attendants. There's a point, for sure, whenever I notice that I'm like sing-songing all my daily activities and I'm talking to myself just a little too much. There was one 6-week stretch where I straight up told myself, I was like, yo, girl, you gotta stop being alone for a minute. This is too much. Being introspective is essential, and when I need IRL community, I look up local events, local meetups, I go to breweries, coffee shops, libraries, literally anything that puts me around people is generally enough. One of the great benefits of living on the road is that you have friends everywhere that you can visit and see whenever you want. Join my email list for a massive guide of van life resources, including how to create community on the road. The 7th question to ask yourself before starting van life is, who's going with you? Will you be living alone or with others? How do you handle less privacy and a lack of personal space? The 8th question to ask yourself before starting van life is, what is your current lifestyle and what lifestyle do you want? What your ideal day or week looks like can be very different from what your ideal day or week looks like. Think laundry, hygiene, cooking, cleaning, leisure activities. There's a lot to consider when living in a van, school bus, RV, trailer, whatever. Everything takes longer. Your weeks are going to be planned around kind of a lack of space, right? Like you don't have a ton of space for groceries, so you're going to be making frequent trips. You also got to make sure that you have water, that you have emptied the poop tank. When was the last time you showered? Where are you going to shower? Is your vehicle going to fit in that parking lot? Can you make that turn? Is there a low overpass? There's a lot to consider, and everything takes just a little bit more time and a little bit more planning. So what kind of life do you want to live on the road? Skoolie life, van life, conversion life, RV life, trailer life, pop-up tent life. There's so much to consider, so be brutally honest if life on the road is conducive to the lifestyle that you actually want. I know van life looks like it's just frolicking through fields of wildflowers, and for some it totally is, but for a lot of us it's not. So be really clear about your lifestyle and what it is that you want to create. If you are choosing to do van life because you want to be outside more, but you don't like the outdoors, maybe reassess. This always makes me think of the SNL skit, the Romano Tours, where it's like, if you're not happy at home, you're not going to be happy in van life. If you're not an outdoor person, you're not going to be happy on BLM land. There's so much to consider here, so be incredibly honest with yourself. The 9th question to ask yourself before starting van life is all about mental health. Do you have habits that feed your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health? Do you have a regular practice of introspection and self-care? Do you recognize your triggers for depression and anxiety? Do you have coping mechanisms in place to help deal with adversity and times of uncertainty? My first year in the van challenged me in every possible way, but it also provided me this beautiful sanctuary to heal and grow. Follow me on Instagram at chasing.candice, where we dive into mental health all the time. The 10th and possibly most important question to ask yourself before starting van life is, what safety concerns do you have? What are you anticipating, and how will you handle them? Things like theft, vehicle breakdowns, wildlife encounters, harassment. There's a ton to consider, and so how will you address these things as they come? And then as a solo female traveler, you're gonna have to ask yourself a few more questions, right? If somebody comes up to you and is grilling you about where you're staying, where you're going, where have you been, who are you traveling with, know that they're not entitled to that information, and you can flat out tell them exactly that. You can also lie and just say, oh, I don't know, la 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 la, and play dumb. It's always an option. Waking up to a loud knock and 7 angry old white men around my van is incredibly unnerving. And keeping my composure while trying to defuse the bomb, for lack of a better term, was essential. And when they couldn't calm down, it's amazing what happens when you start filming and how quickly they check their attitude. With all of this, being able to discern what a fearful thought and an intuitive nudge is a skill to have. There's a very fine line between paranoia and vigilance. Van life can be an amazing adventure, especially if you're tapped into yourself, managing expectations, and moving purposefully. It's super important to have a regular practice of self-care and introspection before starting van life. Self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and having a robust toolkit of coping mechanisms is essential. Let me know what roadblocks are stopping you from starting van life and what challenges you're anticipating. At this point, you've done a deep dive into your why, you've assessed your skills, your lifestyle, and mindset, plus we've gone over some of the less glamorous aspects of van life. Be sure to subscribe to get notified for my next video, which is the 3 most important factors in choosing a vehicle for your #van life, #skoolie life, #RV life. You get where I'm going with this. If this was helpful, let me know and give it a like.